And welcome back to another episode of the Awfully Irish podcast. How are we getting on, guys?
Doing good.
Pretty good.
Today we're joined by Noah Findling. Did I say that right?
It's actually Findling,
Findling.
but people say Findling all the time, so
My apologies.
that's okay.
How about you introduce yourself?
My name's Noah Findling. I'm a comedian, and yeah, that's me. I mean, there's more to me than just that, but that's why I'm here.
So you define yourself as a comedian.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing to do, you know?
Yeah. No, you gotta be clear about what you are.
And you're not doing like one thing. Internet's a bit choppy here.
No, you're still here, Jared. Anyway, yeah, so you don't just do one thing. You do several things. Like you do stand-up, you do sketches. But like, how did you get into comedy first?
I'd say let's see. I haven't thought about this in a while. I got into comedy. I always loved comedy. My brother he's 5 years older than me. He's also a comedian too. He kind of, I would say, introduced me to like comedy as like a piece of entertainment that you could consume. Like we would watch like Saturday Night Live, and he showed me the Chappelle Show, and I think he was the one who showed me. Adam Sandler used to have these like albums, these like audio albums that would come out, and I just like thought that they were just like my favorite. I would listen to them over and over and over again. So like from a young age, I just like loved comedy. I loved being silly. I loved performing for friends and stuff. And then senior year of high school, there was like a open mic that the school was putting on, and I just was like, maybe I'll try to do stand up. I always like making people laugh. And I had like started by then. I had started like writing jokes down, but that was the first time I performed. And then I went to college and I joined the improv team there. And there was also like stand up comedy nights too that I would do, and I just did that. I did it there, and I didn't do it like that seriously in college. Like I did it enough to say I was doing it. But when I graduated from college and moved to LA, I started doing stand up like every night, just like really aggressively, hitting all the mics as I could, just like telling jokes and doing it like 7 nights a week, and it kind of just like grew from there. And I was like doing improv and still like kind of shooting stuff. But yeah, that's kind of how it happened. Just started doing it.
Well, it's a good way to start, just doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're a bit of a beast with it. You just kind of hitting everything you could, and I guess nowadays, like you're not defined as just doing like one kind of comedy. You're doing, well, you have you sketch comedy, you have some kind of animation, and you have stand up.
Yeah. I kind of do. I have this cartoon based on a character that I was doing as like a live action character. It's just basically like a really bad, dumb politician, but like my take on that. I think it came about because this candidate, Michael Bloomberg, ran in the presidential election, this past one. Yeah. And as soon as he started running, like all of my friends' parents and my parents were like, immediately were like, they just loved Bloomberg. And I was just like, he's such a fucking idiot. Like, he's just like a guy with like a lot of money who's just like, I mean, obviously he's a smart guy and he's done some good things for the world, but I was just like, why him? Like, why are you all just obsessed with this guy? And then I was like, all right, let me take spin on that of like a guy who like just like talks to talk and never really puts any thought into the things that he says, but he like says them confidently, and so people believe them. So then a friend of mine who's a cartoonist, he was like, we should do that as a cartoon. So we started doing that, and then I got fired from a job. Like I guess it's almost a year and a half, 2 years ago by now. And I was like a writer's assistant in a writer's room, and I really just felt, I was happy to have that job. It was a cool job, but I felt very like limited on like my ability to be funny. And it's like that's kind of what that job is. Like it's a stepping stone. But when that job ended, I was like, I really just want to go make stuff. I want to go be funny. I want to show people that I can be funny as opposed to kind of waiting for my turn in a writer's room. Um, so then I just started making a ton of content and just like making sketches, started doing like my dad on Instagram and all that kind of stuff. And then the pandemic happened, and then it was like really cool because I had been working this muscle for like 6 months prior to the pandemic. So when the pandemic happened, I had a job. I was going to go work a job that ended because of the pandemic. And then I had all this time and this muscle that I had been developing. And just like, and then also it was so cool because everyone was like, I don't know if it was like this in Ireland, but the first few months of this pandemic, everyone was just like on Instagram and on TikTok and just like consuming as much internet content as ever. And it was like,
That's
just
still
like really
happening.
had everyone's eyes. Yeah, it still is kind of happening. I think in some ways it's changed a little bit, but it is still kind of happening. People are like, I think like the internet is like undefeated, right? Like thank God for the internet right now. Like
Dude, imagine without us.
I know. Like I obviously love watching TV shows and streaming and stuff like that. But there's this certain like entertainment value of like just like watching a 20-second video that like just has me like rolling. So yeah, that's kind of like what's my last few years. Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of those 20-second clips, you made the move to TikTok. Dodgy as it may be, TikTok as a whole, I'm not a big fan. But I'll make an exception for you. You do some quality stuff there.
Thank you.
So what was the move there? Just you seen everyone was at it, so you went at it too?
Yeah, I just was like, yeah, I saw, people were on it and it seemed like they were having like kind of an easy time getting views. And I was told like, just put your stand up on there. Like stand up does really well on there. And I did that and it was crazy. It was like, I put it on and like, I posted a stand up clip like every day for like 3 weeks. And like, I'd say like 15 out of 21 of those clips like got at least 100,000 views or whatnot, and that was just really cool because and then the thing that's hard about TikTok is like once you go viral in a way, it's almost like that's how it wants you to continue to go viral. And like I can't really do a lot of stand up, so I ran out of clips, so I still like the other stuff I've been posting on there. It's kind of like, my character sketches and stuff. But there's something like weird in the algorithm where I feel like once you get recognition doing one thing, you have to like continue to do that. It's like so silly, but I think TikTok's actually my favorite app to enjoy.
What was remember we had Paul on, Jared. What was his thing on TikTok? That it would give you
we've had like 5 Pauls in the show. Which one?
No, Paul Roseberry, man.
Yeah, okay.
Paul had this theory for TikTok, and it's why it's easier to blow up on it, just because he thinks there's a load of fake accounts watching and liking your shit. Which I mean,
it's possible, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I pay for followers. I'm a fraud, so I'm kidding. I don't do that.
I make that one of the clips from this episode and just land at that. Don't even upload the rest.
Yeah, that's all that's going to be published from this episode. I pay for followers and I'm a fraud. If I ever get SNL, that's what's going to be played. But yeah, I think it was just like organic. I was like, let me just start posting stuff on there. That's kind of it's kind of how I got on there.
Yeah. And
just going back on the Paul thing. Paul says like he thinks certain topics get flooded with bots because a lot of people who own the app think higher of it. A little bit of a conspiracy head, but we live them all the same.
Yeah.
So Thomas, you want to say something?
Yeah, I was saying TikTok is a huge app for getting popular and blowing up, and you can even see it is much easier to get viral on TikTok than say YouTube or something. And it's a bit like Vine in that way as well, how you have people who watch your stuff, you get millions of views, and then it's like it doesn't really relate to your YouTube. Do you find that as well?
Yeah. I I like making content, but I don't really want to be like a guy who like I don't really I'm doing it as a building block so that I could grow an audience, be able to go do more stand up around the country or around the world, and to get in front of people's faces as a actor, and people could see like, oh, that's funny. Let's bring him in on this thing that I have. So I haven't really my efforts in like trying to get people over to YouTube haven't been as strong, but it's hard. It's hard to do. I think with YouTube, you need to really be offering on each app. You really need to be offering something different. I think on YouTube, like I think like live streaming is like super huge. Like I have a friend who's a comedian. He got really big on TikTok, and then he started doing a live stream on his YouTube page. Was promoting on TikTok, and then like that's how he grew his YouTube page because he was offering something unique to that YouTube page, as opposed to like what he was doing more on TikTok, which was just like posting clips.
I know that's what a lot of TikTokers do, especially like you were saying, streamers. They tend to post their clips on TikTok, which helps them to promote, especially like game streamers. You see them posting shit for COD and stuff.
Like the Warzone TikTok is doing well. It's doing bits right now.
Yeah, I mean, the freaking gaming like makes more money than anything. It's crazy. Like if you're, it's like funny. I just like because it's like, these are the people who like whose parents would be like so worried and concerned about their life, and now they're like are like so wealthy.
They can
from doing the
make
thing
more than their parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
No, it's mad.
But yeah, it's just one of those things where, it's not, a normal occupation, but you can blow up in it. Comedy would be similar. Like, you're really hoping that it goes really well, but I guess for a lot of people it might not. Same goes for acting.
Yeah.
I don't know why some of those are.
It usually is based on luck, though, isn't it? I mean, would you say it's based on luck?
Yeah, I think it's like the harder you work, the luckier you get, and I think you have to be talented. Yeah, I think I think you have to have a base level of talent. You have to be persistent, and you have to just keep working hard and not really expect anything. And that's really the expectation is is the hardest part because, at every new, in terms of gaming, at every new like level of comedy, you're like, okay, now I'm going to be able to do this kind of stuff. And then you're like, no, I'm not really able to do this. Or like, now I'm going to be able to do this kind of stuff. You're like, it's just like, you kind of have to operate independently of the outcome, and just kind of do it because you really enjoy doing it. And, there's nothing in this world that I would want to do or think I like could do. I really, outside of doing comedy, you have to make a living, and sometimes you have to take a job that is not directly connected to it. But that's just life. And I think I'm trying to get better about like when I do have to take those jobs to just like try to enjoy it. Cause I think like, the universe has a way of like bringing people into your life when you're open. If you're going to like your day job and you're just like fucking miserable, you're obviously gonna have a miserable time, and people around you aren't gonna like you. But if you're like trying to make the best of it, you have a good attitude, you're trying to enjoy it because you're alive, whatever like base minimum thing you can be grateful for. Who knows who you meet? Who knows like, or you get a lot of tips, and then like you don't have to work for 3 months. You could quit, whatever. You put enough money away, you're like, I don't need to work for a year. And then you could focus on your art for a year because you went to that job with like a good attitude, and people recognize that. I'm rambling, but that's
all right, man.
That's what I thought.
Well, you're on a podcast. That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah.
But you got a good point, and dude, I really like that thing you said. What was it? The harder you work, the luckier you get. I really, really like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't come up with that. That's I basketball was like my obsession before comedy, and that was a something a coach of mine said once, because to explain the basketball metaphor, it's like um, you guys know the sport basketball, right?
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
We're not
Oh,
cavemen.
over here, it's sheep and cows, and
Yeah.
herding them is the only sport we have.
I mean, this is our first podcast. We just got internet. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. But in basketball, it's like, if good things happen when you like move the ball around and really work together and pass. Like, good things tend to happen. You get lucky. People make shot. It's the same thing. If you're a comedian and you're going and doing stand up every single night and working at it, eventually, by luck, by chance, you're going to have a good set in front of the right person, and whoever that person is, a casting director, a agent or manager, director, whatever it is, like there's your moment, or with videos, you keep posting and one of them is going to hit super big, and then you'll get more followers and then more people see. It's all the same. It's all just about like what you put out into the world.
Yeah, we get that too. Like, I know sometimes you have something golden, like it might just get more views, like whatever your version of viral is, it might hit that. And I guess sometimes it's out of nowhere too.
Yeah.
Something that might not be too funny to you might just blow up somewhere else.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's a lot with TikTok. Well, I'll post this. TikTok's like the app I'll use to be like, let me just post this. If I have a video that I'm like, I don't think this is that funny, I'll post it to TikTok and see how it does, and then it'll be like, oh wow, that hit. Like, I did this video that was like how to stay off your phone, and it was like all these like silly ways to like purposely lose it or like break it or like
Jesus.
rub raw meat on it, like whatever. It was very silly, and I was like, this is like, I thought it was funny when I thought of it, and then I was like, this is fine, and then like it did so well on TikTok, and I was like, what,
Of course it was. Rubbing raw meat in your phone. That's so dumb. I love that so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just a perfect mixture for that platform.
Yeah.
When you come out with something like that, I have to question where your inspiration comes from.
That comes from I have a very unhealthy relationship with my phone. And I mean, I did it to myself. It's like when you make videos like this, like you're literally, I mean, I'm trying to make something, whether I post every day, I'm trying to make something at least Monday through Friday. I'm trying to like make something. So it's like my phone it's right here. It's in my hand all the time. I'm always looking at it. And then you get addicted to how well your stuff is doing. So that was just like me being like, oh, what if I make a video about like giving people advice on like how to stay off your phone? It's just like directly, usually everything I make is somehow connected to something I'm feeling or seeing or a person I've been around. Like, I just spent like a couple weeks with my parents. They came out to visit me. So now I have like all this, like I shot these like back and forth between me and my dad or me and my mom. Like my dad was like, he asked me to like download something on his phone, and I was like, okay, what's your passcode? And he was like,
I seen this one.
Yeah, he was like so suspicious about giving me his passcode. I'm like, nobody fucking cares about your phone. Nobody fucking gives a shit about what's on your phone. Give me your fucking password,
Dude, like the dad ones you do are hilarious. I was saying before we started, that's specifically the one that got me really good. I loved it so much. What do you say afterward? Like, oh, it's the same as like your credit card or something. Like, just
it's same as your ATM card.
Yeah,
because his password was in the sketch. His password is he's like, it's 5555, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's the same as your ATM card.
Dude, I love that so much, and that's the kind of thing that just blows up on TikTok, because it gets that little kind of like that nose laugh, like you just breathe out slightly. Yeah, like kind of what Thomas is doing, dude.
Yeah.
I think you kind of have it nailed with the dad ones. I've never like just looked at like that kind of content and laughed my ass off, but you seem to have nailed it there.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a good. I love doing that stuff. Sometimes when you're making stuff, I mean, you just get in your head and you're like, oh, am I doing this too much? Am I doing this dad character too much? But then you're like,
No.
I don't know. You know what?
Short answer is
You know
no.
what? Yeah, it's like no, and it's also like no one is paying attention like that. People are just nobody. You're never like on Instagram like this person, like this internet comedian is doing this thing. It's like nobody like watches things that closely. Only like we as the person making it is where only we are that critical of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have a friend like that. His name's Steve-O, and he's a sketch comedian, and he's always like questioning himself about different characters he does. Because there's one very popular one he does called like Farmer Michael, and he's always like saying to us whenever we have him on, like he doesn't know whether he wants to continue it or not because it's gotten millions of views, and then he's always saying he wants to try other shit.
Yeah, the thing with that is he'll make a living off it, but will he be happy doing it?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
He also gets a lot of shit. Obviously, it's going to get to your mental health eventually. Steve Timothy, he's a king of a comedian.
Oh yeah.
But he does that character, and his Farmer Michael character is supposed to be like this old, I guess, Western Central Irishman who's basically a racist, basically like everything bad, but he's unaware that it's bad.
Yeah.
So he comes out with all these like hilarious one-liners, but they're normally at a cost, or it's just out of like the ignorance of like, I guess, an Irish lad who hasn't seen the TV in 20 years. But yeah, you wouldn't want to get stuck in that kind of position where, you're doing the character, you hate it, but you make your money off it. So
it's
try out
tough.
different things.
It's good to try out different things, but it is good to try to at least like what you're putting out. So in some way, like at least enjoy some element of it, because like you never know what's gonna hit, and you want to enjoy it. You want to be able to enjoy it while you do it, but
Yeah.
Also, everything's temporary.
Okay, you're really throwing in the quotes today.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Do you have any character that's kind of like booming right now, or any kind of content that's really doing well for you?
Let's see. I've been doing these videos that are like when it's just like I live with my fiance, and we've just been together like nonstop since the pandemic started. So you just like start to notice things that you maybe weren't like really present for. But like, so I've been doing these videos of like when she does they're basically like when she does this, when he does this. So I did one that was like when she comes home versus when he comes home. And it's like when I come home, I'm like very particular about like where I put my keys and my wallet and my shoes and my hat. But when she comes home, it's just like throwing it everywhere. Like she has like no regard for any organization. So I did like that. That did really well. That kind of stuff's gonna do well just because like people can relate to that. Like it's specific to me, but like enough people live like that. Some people are like, yeah, especially this year, and some people are like. It crosses sexes because it's like sometimes I'm more representative of like what a woman might feel or what they might feel or what she might feel. And then I did one of those, and then I did another version of that, which was when he wakes up, when she wakes up, which was like when I wake up, I'm usually like as soon as the alarm hits, I'm out of bed. Like my anxiety and self-doubt just cripples in, and I'm like, if I don't get up and make something of this day, I'm gonna hate myself. But when she gets up, like she will just like snooze the alarm over and over again, just like toss and turn in the bed, like literally be like standing in bed asleep, like she just like won't get out. So those have been doing really well. I did one yesterday that was like it was gonna be when I make dinner, when he makes dinner versus when she makes dinner, but it was hard to execute that, and it felt too like much of a stereotype in a way that wasn't that. But like I don't mind playing into a stereotype, like if I'm doing it, as long as it is truthful to me. Like if I'm representing a stereotype, but it's like this is really who I am, I don't mind. But this one felt like I was playing into a stereotype that wasn't really what I am. So it just felt like not authentic. So I ended up just making that every time I cook dinner, which is just like, I cook dinner a lot, but I'm asked the entire time I'm asking my fiance like 300 questions. I'm like, how long do you cook this for? And whatever it is.
Cucumber sliced in all these different shapes, whatever.
Yeah.
Throwing pots and pans. Yeah, I've seen it. Dude. Yeah. I've told you, your stuff's fucking hilarious.
Thank you so much.
The magic with that stuff is, if I was to go onto TikTok, I could just be like, all right, let's send that one to the girlfriend. That's just like, oh, that's so you. People are going to do that forever. That's just, it's going to get a lot of shares and it'll do well for you.
Yeah, it's frustrating though. Like those did not like, you don't know. This algorithm is so tricky to like figure out because it's like those like just completely bombed on TikTok, and I'm just like, and they did well on Instagram, and I'm like, what? Like I don't understand. I wish it's hard to predict or figure it out because sometimes I'll make something and I'll be like, dude, this is gonna fucking hit. and then literally I'll post it and like an hour later I'm like,
14
how could like what the fuck?
Yeah,
that's the same with us though. Our most viral video is we didn't expect it at all. We were talking to this comedian, his name Steve Cantwell, and he was telling us the story of him doing salvia, and he was like living in the body of another man for 8 years. Great episode. Go watch it if you haven't. But
yeah,
man, like we posted it, not expecting it to get 10 views, and next thing we know, it's surpassed 10K at one point, and like that's it's massive for us.
When stable, like it got like 100 something views in the first like few minutes, or not a few minutes, few hours, and we're like, oh, that's all right.
Yeah.
And we go to bed, wake up in the morning, it's over 1,000, and we're sitting there like, what's going on here?
Yeah, it's sometimes like that. You just don't know. Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah, I actually did some mushrooms a couple of days ago, and I was walking around town with my friend. We only took a little bit, so I wasn't like losing it. But then I came back, and my fiance was like, "Okay, let's go drive and get a puppy." And I was just like, I can't handle this right now. I'm like, this could handle the responsibility. I don't even know why I brought that up, but a story about drugs, and then I thought that.
Yeah. No, that's fair. So surprisingly, you're not the only guy to tell me like a mushroom story recently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we don't even have those here. Like you'd hear about lads, obviously like there's gonna be the weed or whatever here. Like a problem with pills over here, but you'll never get that kind of stuff. In California, like there's people out there like trying to expand their consciousness, man. And then over here, this lad just wanting to get fucked up.
You just want to drink some beers.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna be so depressing tomorrow. Tomorrow's St. Patrick's Day, and the pubs are still closed. After a year of lockdown, the pubs are still closed. It's like
that sucks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you guys are in. I have actually a couple of good friends that live in Ireland. But one of my friends, he's a filmmaker. His name's Mark Smith. I'm sure there are 300,000 of Mark Smiths in Ireland, but yeah. He was saying it's like it sucks. It's like you guys are in like much more serious lockdown than we are.
Yeah,
which is crazy because we're riddled with COVID still.
We have the longest amount of lockdown days with one of the slowest vaccine rollout. And they've actually just cancelled another one of our vaccines from being sent here because one of the tests.
Is it are people there? Oh yeah, I read that today. Are people frustrated, or is everyone just like whatever it is?
I've never seen so many people hate their government this much. You might get
in
this.
Ireland.
Yeah, you guys are a different story. But
Yeah.
over here,
Yeah.
normally like, oh sure, it'll be grand. It's a very Irish thing. It'll be fine. But recently, it's just fuck
Shocking.
those guys. What do those guys
Really?
know? Because like they're not really putting in the work that other European countries are doing, and their excuses are pretty out there.
Plus, our second in command is under like Garda investigation for leaking like confidential documents. It's crazy.
Yeah, dodgy stuff. Dodgy stuff.
That's
But,
scary.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
dude.
terrifying.
We have it weird over here. Last 3 months we've been in like our worst level of lockdown. Probably going to go into 4 months of that.
It'll be in May. We're coming out of it then.
Then we go into level 4, which is like you can see one friend. You know, like
my God.
right now it's like you can't see anyone.
No.
But
Like
in a few months, when we all behave ourselves, we'll be allowed to see one friend outside only.
Did they say that? That like you could see one friend outside at a
Well, that's
time?
what level
It's
4
implied.
entails, right?
yeah,
Well, you can have one person from another household. You mean like 3 people outside?
you can meet 3 people outside your house.
Yeah,
Oh my God! I got my first vaccination.
fair play.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you grown
Not
like
to
the
brag.
third arm or the third eye or something? Yes.
Yeah,
What's the 5G
I
like now?
grew. Yeah, I grew a huge dick.
Take a
which
look,
is
guys.
weird. Yeah,
Fair play.
my
to you, fair
dick
play to you.
is huge now. No, I did not expect that. But I got my first.
Does your
I'm getting
phone
my-
like connect to the internet almost instantaneously now?
Like, do your friends
5G?
follow you for 5G?
Yeah, man. I mean, that must be
Yeah.
pretty fucking handy getting vaccinated. I mean, there's so much benefits that come with it. You get other arms and really fucking good internet connection. I mean, who
Yeah,
wouldn't
it's
do this?
like,
That's just
how could you not want to do that?
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it is pretty slow rollout here, but it's starting to pick up. I feel like we'll be back to normal by I do feel like what Biden's saying could be true. Knock on wood. You know, I think he's saying by 4th of July, like it'll be kind of normal.
But
we'll
he
see.
said you could have a barbecue for 4th of July.
Yeah,
He didn't really say it would be
Yeah.
normal.
that's true.
He
Well,
said small groups at a barbecue.
Americans equate barbecue with normalcy, so there it is.
All right. Well, here hoping. Here hoping you get to have a
Yeah.
barbecue.
yeah.
We never barbecue here because it rains, so
Shite.
there's no point.
I live in an apartment. I can't even have a barbecue, so
Oh man. You can just grill some sausages and burgers and shit. I mean,
yeah.
not the same effect, of course, but like,
I
think-
could do it anywhere. I don't need a barbecue to still grill.
exactly.
I do have a stove.
Had a little yolks there, but I can't even remember the last time. I probably had a barbecue maybe 4 or 5 years ago, just because we get so little good weather over here. It's shocking. We maybe get 2 good months in summer, and there's just no point because
Crazy.
No.
I have been to Ireland on St. Patrick's Day.
Have you actually?
I have. I was there. I was one of those fucking assholes that I'm sure you guys hate on Temple Bar on St. Patrick's Day. Well, that was like I was in college when I went abroad. I went abroad to Scotland, and then we were like, let's go to Ireland for St. Patrick's Day. Like it's just a hop over the over whatever body of water that is. And it was insane. I mean, it was complete debauchery. And I also felt very like none of the other Americans were as aware, I felt like, as I was, that like, oh, we are deeply hated, I feel like, by most of the people here. We're just like annoying them. It's like when your friend comes to visit LA and they're like, let's go to the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, can you just pull a bullet through my brain?
It's not that you're hated. It's more like, for example, when we were on level 5 last year, when our first lockdown, there was a group of Texans that came over to Ireland for a holiday, and they were literally the main source of news on Irish radio for a week. Like everybody was like, they came into my shop, they spat on me, called me names, and left. And like,
oh my God.
Yeah. Well, obviously they didn't do that. It was just
No,
like
no, it's
Texas at the time was like riddled with COVID, and everyone was like, "We can't leave our houses, but we let people from the States over here." You know, it was that kind of carry on.
Yeah.
we're still doing that actually. People are still allowed to come to Ireland, even though we're not allowed to go 5 kilometers outside our house.
Yeah,
That's so weird.
it is quite weird.
It's crazy.
Now, I'm not going to pull an Alex Jones and say something crazy, but it feels crazy. I feel like he'd thrive over here. He'd be like,
Yeah.
yeah,
But it's crazy to see how open America is. Like UFC are having like a full packed out stadium in April. Like it's
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
insane, man. Or like even the Super Bowl was like nearly like half filled, right?
It was like 11,000, maybe more, like 15,000 people.
That's mad.
You know, the stadium seats like whatever 100,000, so like everyone's spread out. But I'm still like that many people. It's still kind of like I know it's open on the top, but it's still like feels like it's
Inside.
gonna
No.
spread. And then I mean, more importantly, what that caused was the celebrations after the festival. There was a spike in cases. You know, it wasn't necessarily from the game, but all the people that now are in wherever the Super Bowl was this year are in that town,
Mhm.
partying and hanging out. It's like that's the problem.
Yeah.
But you know,
Because
we are America values corporations and you know values profits over its people, and that's just the way it is.
I can agree with that. I'd say that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
it
don't
was
know if that's true in Ireland. I don't think it is. I think it's definitely true here.
don't get me started. Please don't get me started.
No,
Yeah.
I don't know how different it is over here. Uh, I know, Jared, you're more into business than I am, or all
But
that
yeah,
kind
I've been studying business for a while, and when you study business, it feeds into politics because everything's about money. And
Yeah.
fuck me, man, like the way they carry on here is just awful. They went sniveling off to like the European courts to beg the European court to not make them have to accept tax off Apple. I think it was like what was it, millions or billions, Thomas?
millions.
Yeah, and didn't want to take the tax because they thought if they did, that the corporation might want to leave Ireland and move somewhere else. So we tax our we tax our workers like so much, and then like the businesses get like one of the lowest tax rates in all of Europe.
Right.
And so you know they're letting the corporations mess around, but it's at the cost of the average worker. So that's where I see a problem with it.
It's funny too because Apple left America for this to not pay taxes, and now and it's like they screw everyone over here, and then they go to this new country, and they screw everyone over there. It's like
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the difference is that
they'll just go wherever they get the best deal.
we'll
Yeah.
let them screw us over because our government is shit.
But like besides like having a low corporation tax, we have nothing to offer. It's like with no natural resources of any kind. It's like, do you want to go back to the way of sticks and stones and feeding the cattle, or do you want to have big business over here? That's our options.
Yeah. It's like, well, you put it that way.
Yeah. But anyway, that's just another thing. But overall, back to inspiration. Obviously you're inspired by like your dad or your fiance with some of the stuff you do, but with other kinds of stuff, you know, like just a general sketch comedy. Like, is it like life events you see, or what inspires you to do them?
I would say, yeah, I think it's really like what's going on or something that happens to me. Um, you know, like I have these kitchen cabinets that never fucking stay closed,
It's a ghost.
and yeah, I mean, I mean, what it is that I'm, you know, not, I don't have a lot of money, so like that's what you get when you have, yeah, it's like kind of cabinets you get, but it's like This is like, it'd be funny to shoot a video of just like me, just like just like frustrating, like just like over and over again, just slamming my kitchen cabinets closed and just like fucking freaking out. So it's like that kind of stuff that I'm like, oh, like things that like bother me. Usually, things that bother me are like a good jumping point for like, okay, well, how do other people are probably feeling like this? Like, if I'm feeling this, then other people are feeling like this. Okay, if I can make it funny, then 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 my truth will be relatable to other people. That's like the sweet spot, I think. Like, that's like where I like to be. But yeah, I go on a lot of walks. I and that's always good for inspiration. And it just kind of happens. I'll just like also like I have a lot of funny friends, so um, there's usually if I'm hanging out with a friend, I'll usually come away with some idea, just because through organic conversation. Um, that's important. Like surrounding yourself with people who are like as funny or if not funnier than you, um, is like really good because you just like are striving to keep up. And when you're trying to keep up, you're working harder. You're gonna get better. You know, it's like a basketball player playing with like people more talented than him. Like eventually, he's gonna start to figure it out. Um, but yeah, I would say that's how I get inspired.
Yeah, surround yourself with people who are better, on the same level.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like the thing they say: if you hang out with losers, guess what you are. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's always the case,
no,
but I think yeah, I think if you're hanging out with people who aren't as ambitious or hardworking as you, or it kind of it can rub off, and not even just rub off. It could just make you get lazy and kind of get content.
100%. Well,
yep,
isn't it the thing like hang around with successful people and you become successful? Like yeah, like
Yeah,
yeah,
you should be hoping so.
you fucking better.
Yeah. But yeah, what's your end goal with all this that you're doing at the moment? You know, you're balancing a few different things at the same time. But overall, like, do you want to be like known for your comedy? What's the end goal?
yeah. I think. I mean, career wise, I think I want to just be someone who can kind of, I would love to be like an Adam Sandler type or Andy Samberg. Like I like how they can kind of do whatever they want. If they want to be in something, they can be in it. If they want to write something, they can write it. If they want to just produce, they can kind of jump into these different roles and kind of do wherever the creative process takes them, they can kind of go do. I think I really want to be in that sort of position where like I can kind of do I can kind of do a a bunch of things. That's kind of the goal.
Mm. Yeah, it's not a
Cool.
bad goal
Because
to
I
have
like
either.
writing. I like writing TV shows. Like I like writing movies, but I also like being in. I also like acting, and I kind of want to be able to do both. I think one of them happens first. You get really good at it, and then you're able to kind of jump into other things.
Yeah.
Mm.
So overall, an entertainer.
Yeah, yeah. I want to make. I definitely ultimately just like want to make people laugh. If the most simplest form is I like telling stories and I like making people laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look, that's a valuable value to have in your occupation. You
Yeah,
know, you hate to be a comedian who wants to make people cry.
yeah,
Um,
right.
but yeah, I'm
There
kind
are
of,
some of those out there.
For real?
I believe you.
I would say there is actually, yeah.
Cry laughing, maybe.
I mean, who knows?
And do you have anything coming up anytime soon, or are you still like kind of getting hammered by lockdown?
Let's see. I'm just really pushing the content on my socials, and I have some more longer format web series / short film stuff that I'm gonna start working on. So that'll be coming out soon. But just trying to like keep posting and these videos, and hopefully LA is starting to open up. I'll start doing some stand up again around town.
Yeah.
Is there any at the moment, or is it just like open mics and nothing else?
There are some shows. There are some shows coming back. Like last week, the first kind of round, a few of shows were started, so it's like really good to see.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to seeing what content you make, and if people want to see where the content's made, where can they find you?
My handle is at Noah Built the Ark. That's Noah Built the Ark, as in the guy from the Bible who built the ark that those animals went on 2x2.
Do you want to explain why it's like that? Because I was wondering about
that. What you explain why it's like what?
Noah built the ark. That's pretty unique.
I don't know. I came up with it when I was like in high school, and I just liked the way I was like, oh, I like it. I like the way it sounds, and I was like, oh, it feels like me, and it's silly, and I really just like how it went together and how it sounds when you say it, and it just felt like the right thing. It felt like it represented me digitally well. So yeah, I'm on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I'm on YouTube. Just search Noah Findling. I have a YouTube page. There's like full 1920 by 1080 stuff on there. Yeah.
Awesome.
Proud of you. Hopefully we can look back in this episode one day and be like, dude, he literally became the new Adam Sandler. But
yeah, right. That'd be cool.
You're hoping, buddy. So yeah, that's all. People know where to find you. If you got this far in the video or audio version, fair play to you. And most importantly, stay away from yourself and good luck. Top of the morning, lads and ladies. Support for the Awfully Irish podcast is now brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming.
Manscaped offers precision engineered tools for your family jewels, and you're no longer need the look of the Irish with the ladies. Manscaped just launched in Ireland. We've gone years without using the right tools for the job. You can now be one of the first men in Ireland to experience their life-changing products.
Your balls will thank you.
Get 20% off and free shipping with the code IrishPod at manscaped.com.
That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code IrishPod.